Good evening, and just like that, we are live again.
We are, just like that.
Evening all. So, a few formalities first. Apologies, Steve is working tonight. I don't know if he will make it. He says he finishes, I think, 9:30. So,
yeah,
I don't think he'll make it in time for the stream tonight. So, it might just be the three of us you have to put up with, unfortunately. So, fingers crossed we can hold the fort. Okay.
I'm sure we can.
Oh my god! I didn't know Steve wasn't on tonight. That's news to me. Was that in the chat or something?
What
so
do you
see
think?
That group chat that the four of us have got that you don't read at all, Jay? It's in that one.
I can't keep up with it. I honestly can't keep up with it. But anyway,
what it is that it's because we don't do voice notes for you, Jay. That's what the problem is. We need to start the voice notes for you.
It's the only way you listen. It's a bit like you said you're going to the darts, and we're giving you a couple of ideas.
Yeah.
But you can dress up with corals or fish. I think it was Ross who said the brown acro. The problem with a brown acro, it looked like something else. They'll just think you look like a turd.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Just go dressed as a turd to the darts. I think that's probably been done before. But,
yeah, but you can
coral,
say you're brown
I think a fish should be good, at the darts. Check it out. I might get a fancy dress costume because I'm quite close to the front. Thursday night, Sky Sports, there's a fish just like hopping around at the front of the stage.
So what fish are you gonna be then, Jay? Let's have a look. What do you think?
I haven't thought that deeply about it. Probably a clown, to be honest. It kind of fits me.
Clown, yeah. if he was a chromis, he wouldn't be as big as Steve's chromis.
No,
well, that's it. Yeah. Not the aggression of a clown, but just the clowning around. I think, but yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So if we are on next Friday, I'm going to be struggling.
Well, I don't think we're going to do next Friday, are we?
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
is that in the chat as well?
Yeah, it was in the chat as well. Yeah. Sorry, we're having a private chat on the live stream. We're supposed to do this beforehand.
I know.
Sorry, viewers.
But yeah, we'll sort that out. But we might not be on next week. But yeah, so welcome. We're back again, and like I say, minus Steve. Got probably quite a bit to talk about tonight, I think, with our trip away, Paul. So we'll see how we got on with that one. But yeah, it's been quite a good week anyway. It's been a busy week nonetheless. So what's been happening with yourself, Paul? Anything?
Not a lot other than TMC. So tank-wise, it's okay. I shipped out a couple of frags early this week. Sent out in the post, so that was all right. They got there safe and sound. So that was all right. A couple of chalice, bubble coral. Temperatures, nice time of year. You obviously have to put a heat pack in, but you haven't got to worry about cold overnight. And just make sure the heat pack's working and your LPS as well. So unless they get bashed around by the postman, there's no reason why they won't get there in top nick, which is what they did. So there was an avatar, bubble coral, and a couple of recordias as well. So they went out early this week. So that was good. You always worry a little bit, are they going to get there? And is the person going to open the door when you get there? Because sometimes you have a postman and you don't hear the door or anything else, and it gets shipped down to the post office, and you never know if you're going to get it the next day, even if you put a 40-hour
or they leave it on the step outside if it's a cold day. That's the worst thing. Yeah,
because you've got the heat pack, it's all right. Because when you ship them in the winter, they sit in a warehouse anyway.
Yeah,
so
suppose,
with the heat pack, as long as it's not snow on the ground. Actually, in a way, I'd rather them leave them outside the door than take them back to the sorting office, because they go back to the sorting office. You never know if you'll be able to pick them up that day or whether it's next day. And then by that time, the heat pack's gone. Even if you leave 40 hours, you never know what's really going to happen.
Yeah, I haven't seen any heat packs that's longer than 48 hours. I think that must be about the longest you get, isn't it?
I think you can get 72 hours.
Oh, can you?
But I go on the basis of 40 hours. I usually go to the post office in the afternoon. Yeah. So that usually gives you enough time to be there the next day. I've had a couple there that haven't delivered. Well, there was confusion, is all I can say, between the postman and the person who was living there. I don't know whose fault it was, but they were Zoas, so they were fine. I took a couple extra days to open up, but yeah, so 40 hours is usually enough. 72, I think, is a bit OTT, and they cost more, and the price of all that stuff is not cheap.
No.
So you try and cover your costs, which you do, but even the little pots that I used to get for like 10 pence each. You go online, they're about 30 pence each, which doesn't sound much, but when you put the pots and your heat packs and the poly boxes and everything else, you charge like 15 quid, which is what I do, and it just about covers your costs. The poly boxes are £1.50. Postage, depending on the weight, is at least £8.
Yeah.
So you're almost there at £15.
And that's the thing, we all complain that, you know, you're saying, oh, I'm buying a coral and it's £15 delivery, but when you actually break it down, you're not making anything off the delivery. You're covering your costs and your time, probably. Well, not even your time. You wouldn't cover your time, it'd just be your costs and that's it. So
those people who post on a regular basis, then you can get special deals and you get discounts and you can do prepaid and all that kind of stuff. So you get a bit of a discount on it, but you know, go straight to there and just pay the price that everyone else does. Don't sell enough to have an account with them or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I still think it's the best way of sending corals. I know people have a bit of a moan about raw mail, which, you know, fair enough. But touch wood, I've had really good service with them when I've posted stuff out. You're not supposed to send corals; you don't get insured for it, so you can get your you can get your costs back for the postage, but you can't get anything else back, which is fair enough. They say no live animals, so you just take your risk, don't you? And if there's a problem, just refund people.
I think it's only APC or DPD or somebody that does livestock shipping here. I
think it's APC.
APC, isn't it? Yeah. APC.
I think it is that those LFS do because there's some LFS that obviously send out livestock, but most I know don't.
Yeah.
Because it can be a bit of a pain. Obviously, those ones that like Prestige Reef and that's all they can do, isn't it? Because they haven't got a shop front. I
mean, a lot of them say they do it in the warmer months, but I know that up here anyway, the past like 4 weeks have been warmer than this week. It was snowing today again, and it's one of those that you think to yourself, what is going on with the weather? You can't really predict to say that, you know, we're only posting in the warmer months because we don't have warmer months anymore, do we?
But I must admit, in the summer, I hate posting them because in a warehouse in the summer, the temperature goes through the roof. Yeah. So in which case the boxes boil. Yeah. And so it's really difficult to tell. So I mean, if the snow's on the ground, I don't post. If it can go, you know, if it's 0 or -1 or 2, I found they still get there. Acros may be a little bit dodgy, but outside of that, I found they're okay. So the poly boxes are only quite small, and the heat pack's quite big, so it should be okay still, even with that. And when they're well insulated, obviously they've got holes in there as the heat packs die because they need the oxygen to keep them going, which we discussed before. But all seems all right. So that's about it tank wise. Not a lot going on.
Yeah,
I tend to keep my packaging. So obviously the corals I've received, like the little plastic tubs and things, I've just kept those just in case I need to recycle them.
Yeah.
But obviously I've never sent a coral. So what are your tips, Paul, for sending corals?
So I put each one in a separate pot, and then I wrap that with bubble wrap. And then if you've got 3 pots, I then bubble wrap around that keeps it insulated. Must always put holes in the poly boxes. So if you wonder why there's a hole in the poly box, is because your heat pack, if there's no oxygen in there, it dies. It needs the oxygen to keep going. That's why when I first got thinking, why is there a hole in this? And it's because of that.
I've thought that.
So I always open the heat pack 30 minutes before I wrap everything up because sometimes you get duff heat packs.
Yeah.
So that works on that side. I always put a divider between the corals and the heat pack because I have sent a acro once and it was too close to the heat pack and it basically boiled it. And so if I have an acros or anything, I put it to the far end and then I put a bit of cardboard in between, heat pack stacks like that next to it. So the gap's about that much. Cardboard there, heat pack there. I put sellotape. So I always put it side on. Some people put it to the top because the boxes are only
on the lid. Narrow. Yeah, I've seen that.
I don't put it on the lid because they're not that deep. So they're quite shallow. So I have them quite small because one, it's easier from a postage perspective, and also the heat gets retained. And then I just put tape around the outside, and I try and leave it as late as possible to send to the post office. I tend not to send when it's really warm, but I don't really mind too much in the winter what temperature it is. I always put at least 1 or 2 pieces of carbon in each pot because you find that sometimes the coral might get a little bit stressed, so the carbon just takes the crap away, and so it doesn't soil the water basically. So I find that depending on the size of the pot, either 60 mil, 100 or 120 mil. If it's 120, then I put 2 pieces of carbon. If it's a big coral, then I'll double bag it, and then I put loads of cardboard around it as well, so it can't move around. And then depending on how much water, but I don't like putting loads of water in because then you pay more on the postage.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I've done. And
Yes.
how many have I sent? I've probably done over 100 boxes I've posted over the years, only because
Wow.
when I buy the poly boxes, I buy 30 at a time, and I
Yeah.
must be on my third or fourth order for poly boxes. So I find it's just a lot easier to buy them in 20, 30 boxes at a time, because it's just cheap. Because whilst they don't weigh anything, they're quite bulky.
Yeah.
So
Thanks. Thank you, Paul. Very good.
So there's a one there. Would you post SPS in a larger pot for added water volume? No, it depends on the size of the frag. So I tend to post SPS. Well, if there's sticks, then it'll be 120 mil pot I put it in. But if it's on like a Monty and it'll fit into a 60 mil, then I do that. But usually I find that acros, and I don't have like strawberry shortcake or anything like that. It might be a kind of blue tipped Formosa or something like that, or a Digi. So it's not the high end ones that I've ever really posted before. So they can be a little bit more volatile in the post. But I usually find 60 mil or 120 mil bigger frag goes in a bag of water, and I try and keep the bag of water no more than 500 mil. And that sounds really tight, but when it's £8, then over 500 milliliter, the weight, 500 grams, it's on like £9, and over a kilogram goes up to £11. And I don't usually add any more money onto it. So if people buy 3 or 4 corals, they pay £15 regardless. So if I pay £11 in postage, that's probably cost me near to £18 to send it. It's only £3, but so I try and cover my cost on that. But the top one for me is really
get insurance with anybody.
Not well. I've only ever sent Royal Mail because the post office is around the corner to me, so that's a 2-minute walk. It's really convenient in terms of going there, and also I know if I do next day delivery by 4 o'clock. It used to be 1 o'clock, and then after COVID, it's 4 o'clock, and they haven't changed it back to 1 o'clock. Whereas if you go to one of the other pickup points or drop off, you don't know what time it's going to go. They get pickups in the morning. So I find that Raw Mail is most reliable. I mean, I used to sell a lot of stuff on eBay, but it wasn't coral related. And you used to take it to the drop-off points and it'd still be there 2 days later.
Right.
So that's no good for my coral. So I just found that Raw Mail is the best.
Plus, I don't know if you've ever witnessed Royal Mail vans versus DPD or APC vans, but the APC and DPD vans up Maui do not hang about. They are flying in the corners and everything. Oh, unbelievable. Whereas the Royal Mail vans seem to be pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. So it's work for me. I mean, do corals die? Yeah, they do, because just some of them don't like it. It's just the way it goes. But touch wood, the vast majority have got there fine. And if something dies, I don't even, this thing about you have to take it out in 1 hour and blah, blah, blah. I don't worry about that. If I send it to someone, if it dies, they say it's died, I'll give them a refund or send a replacement. Yeah. I've never messed around with this thing around 1 hour and do this and do that, and you can only have a credit note and stuff like that, which we talked about before. It's actually, if you make a claim, you're entitled to a full refund, cash. This credit note, what's it? And we'll send you a replacement. By law, you don't have to have that. You're entitled to a full refund. And this thing about opening an hour, that's a load of rubbish as well from a pure legal perspective.
Yeah.
So as long as you pay by PayPal or something like that, and you don't send friends and family, you've got arguably more rights than if you go and pick it up from the shop. But yeah, hand delivery, yeah. Absolutely. You can then go and see. I mean, I prefer, I've got people locally and I'll go and drop it off to them. It's a lot easier to do, and it saves me £15 and there's no risk on that. So if I've been going over to Kent and places like that, I've dropped off corals when I'm on the way. But yeah, absolutely.
Where are you posting these, Paul? Where are you selling them? Where are you selling them? On Ultimate Reef, is it?
It depends. Some places go on Ultimate Reef. Some people contact me on Instagram. I used to have Zoas and LPS on eBay, and I used to do a 3-pack SPS, and they used to sell pretty well. But I haven't got anything like that anymore. And to be fair, I haven't got the time now, because you need at least an hour during the day to pack them all up, go to the post office. But I can't find an hour in my day, so I wouldn't do that. Now, but I used to have a proper frag tank in the garage, and they used to have loads of stuff, and I used to sell it. just for extras and things like that. So it was just a good way of doing it. Someone's put in there about credit card.
Great for corals credit cards, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Thankfully, you've got the same level of protection with PayPal and that now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I find PayPal's easier.
Yeah.
You just raise a case. You raise a case telling the story, and to be fair, the buyer always wins. Now, having sold, I must have sold at least 1,500 different pieces on eBay. It's a bit of a pain in the backside. But I've got to say, I think I've only been done once or twice on eBay where I think someone's tried to defraud me. But out of 1,500 to 2,000 cases, you can live that. Because what I say to people, if you have a shop, how many times do you get stuff nicked? How much aggro do you have with people? So I think if you're selling online, that's a lot easier than having a shop by country miles. You just take that into consideration when you're doing
I actually
stuff.
seen a video the other day of a guy going into a coral shop somewhere in America, I think it was, lifting a coral out the tank, putting it down the front of his trousers and walking out the door with it. I've never ever thought I would see that, but that was exactly what he done. It was like a CCTV clip of it.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't a stick.
I don't know what it was, mate. He just hand in the tank.
What's that down his trousers?
It was a NEM.
Yeah.
It was a soft.
So I'm just going to go
a
back.
name. Oh my god!
Oh, there we go.
I'm going to go back here. There's a question from name that I'm not going to pronounce saying, hey guys, what do you think algae prevention in a nano reef without cleanup crew? What about Red Sea NOPOX? I'm assuming it means. Now, I've never ever done it without a cleanup crew. I've always thought a cleanup crew is really valuable, but I don't know if any of you guys have tried anything without a cleanup crew.
No, but was it a cleanup crew?
I wonder what the reason for not having cleanup crew is, if it's a fish only tank or something, maybe.
Yeah. So
even at that, a nano reef shouldn't. I don't know.
I mean, algae prevention in a nano, you can use NOPOX, and I've run NOPOX in that tank for almost 7 years. You need a decent skimmer. I'd say oversize a skimmer, which is hard. It's hard to do in a nano because you haven't got a sump, and also you need to wet. I find you need to wet skim as well, and that keeps it in control. I think on algae prevention, if you haven't got cleanup crew, would be not many fish, don't overfeed, and you're doing a lot of water changes to keep your nutrients in check. But you probably won't avoid it in the first 12 months, which you guys, we all know, don't we? In the first 12 months is when it gets it does literally get hairy, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think prevention is I think it's more about management. I think you're going to have a little bit of algae or some algae. It's actually quite healthy to have algae in the tank to some extent. It's more about the management of the maintaining it at a certain level. I've got algae in my tank. On a few rock pieces, there's bits of algae on there. I've come to live with it. It's part of the ecosystem, and it just and when I try and tackle the algae by stripping the nutrients, the corals suffer. The tank doesn't look as good. So I've come to kind of just managing the algae rather than trying to get rid of it. But like you say, cleanup crew is crucial. And you had your urchin, didn't you? I haven't got one of those, but I know you swear by an urchin, don't you, Ross? Yeah,
I've still got the urchin, and it's fantastic. You see it. I mean, it moves all over the tank every day, and it cleans away. But I would say between the urchin and my turbo snails, that's my two favourite in the tank just now, because the turbo snails do a fantastic job. So does the urchin. The two of them just go around a lot. Oh, having said that, top three would be the conch as well. That would be my top three. Urchin, turbo snail, and a conch.
Yeah. But then, Ross, in that first 12 months, was it month 6 to 9 or 9 to 12? You had massive issues with algae, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you discovered it when you went from blue to white, and we talked about it quite a bit, and you tried all kind of things, and all of a sudden you've done a lot of things and whatever it was, and it's now touchwood okay, isn't it? Nitrate. Are your nitrates and phos still quite high?
Oh, they're still Snoop Dogg high, mate. We're talking up 70 odd on the nitrates and the phosphates. The nitrates are up about 70 something just now, and the phosphates are about 0.7. But again, the tank looks fantastic, and it has done for weeks. I mean, months now, actually. So, I do a weekly work. I don't know what's caused them to be so high. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not overfeeding. I'm not doing anything with that. But I mean, there's so many people that I speak to, and I don't know if it's because I've put a video out there saying, you know, I've got really high nitrates and really high phosphates, but the tank looks good. But a lot of people have messaged and said, yeah, mine's exactly the same. But it's not something that people want to really openly admit, I don't think. You know, everybody wants to have these perfect range of figures that they say, oh, my tank's sitting between this or between that. Whereas in reality, is it actually sitting there, or does it take a lot of people to say, no, you don't have to have low nutrients. You can have a higher nutrient system and it's still relatively healthy, depending on what coral you've got in it. But
I think, I think there's a bit of a stigma, and also if people post it, then they'll start getting not hammered. People saying, "Oh, you should get this down," and blah blah blah. So therefore, they get loads of negative comments, and you think, "I'm not going to bother anymore." So you just don't mention it, and you don't talk about it, do you?
Yeah.
There's perception around everything should be low.
Going back to that question there, perhaps your white light spectrum, if you reduce that, that will also help to manage your algae, because we all know that white light is an accelerator of growth for algae as well. So perhaps just reduce your white spectrum. That might help as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think also there's another comment saying they're 25, which, and I think, you know, Coral Reef Queens have said 25 is fine. I mean, it depends. Is it 25 and you got loads of algae, or is it 25 without algae? Because you can have 25 and loads of algae, and that's feeding off the algae, and then the residual amount is 25. Or be like you, Ross, it's 75, and you haven't got any algae, and that's fine. So it also depends on how the tank looks at the moment, because it'd be feeding on it. So if it wasn't there, it'd be a lot higher, if that makes sense.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. See, when I first started having the higher numbers and it stabilised out a bit, I thought there's going to be something happens at the back of this, but that has literally been months now, and the corals are growing really quickly. You know, the tank looks healthy. I find it really difficult in myself to lower them when it's doing okay. We've spoken about this quite a few times now, but yeah, I'm going to leave it as it is.
Don't touch it, Ross. Don't touch it.
There's no point, because you try and mess around with it. You then create an imbalance. You get an imbalance, you could have cyno, and then you're messing around with that, and all of a sudden you create high, and you're just swinging all over the shop. So just keeping it where it is, and if it works for you, then fine and dandy, I would say. There's a question there from Julie around Copepods. Just over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Copepods culture the reef phytoplankton from sea chem. I've been feeding them a feed from reef phyto, but would be easier to get sea chem plankton. I have no idea on that one.
So I've used reef phyto before, and that's fine. As long as I don't see any reason why, if it's just like a normal batch of phytoplankton, that you couldn't use that. I think the thing is, try it or start a new culture and use that one, because what you don't want to do, if you use the sea chem one and it doesn't work, the whole culture would then just die off and you've got to start from scratch. I don't see any reason why you can't or you shouldn't, because it's probably there for that purpose. But I've never used that before. I've used reef phyto before, and that's fine.
Well, I've not used it. I've not used it. I use Columbo, is it? Phytoplankton Columbo. It's in the fridge. But have you heard of this? I don't know. No. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good. But I've not. It's not really for Copepods. Well, it is for Copepods, but I also have amphipods, the slightly larger ones. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of those, and they love the live phyto.
That's what you had. Remember at the time when you dipped your coral for 35 minutes and you had the amphipod on it because you freaked out. Remember?
Yeah, and then when you said it around, I didn't know what it was. But you're right, Ross. That was an amphipod. Yeah, I did chuck that in the tank, and I've now got quite a large population of them. I see them like scurrying around the zoas and my montes and things. You'll probably see them more at night time, I'd imagine, won't you? Yeah. But I've heard that they can graze. They're like micro grazers, so they will graze the algae as well. So I'm happy to see them in the tank. It's but yeah, they like the live phyto as well. I've not had so much luck with Copepods. They don't tend to be around in my tank, but the amphipods are.
Yeah, I haven't really noticed them before in one of the tanks, but where I've got the refugium, I took out some of the Cheeto the other day. I couldn't believe how many was actually in there. So it's right what they say, because I haven't added anything to that tank. Yet the actual refugium was just absolutely alive and swimming with all kinds of things. I hadn't really checked for a while. So it just shows you, just with that light and everything else, just how they, obviously one or two will come in on something because I haven't fed it. and now got a massive population in the sump, which is great for
So
feed
healthy.
time as well. And also, as you say, it does feed off of algae and helps with beneficial bacteria as well. So you can't beat that kind of natural source.
Yeah, it all starts to kick in after that kind of 14-month mark. That's when I started to notice all these the little microfauna in there and things like that. It just helps with that balance, doesn't it? Like you said.
Yeah.
So there's a question here for you, Jay, from Rich Matty, who says, looking for a second-hand tank, looking at a Max Nano or a Red Sea Max E170 rear sump. Any thoughts?
The Max Nano is a brilliant tank. It runs well. It doesn't run itself, but if you just keep up with your water changes, the equipment on it is really good. You won't be disappointed. What's the other one? The Max. See, I'd have probably gone for the 170 because mine is now getting outgrown. So if you can push the budget, I would probably go for the 170.
The only thing is, why go for the E170 with the rear chamber? Why not go for just the 170 that has a sump? Because personally, having had rear chambers all in one, it's easier to manage with a sump because your filtration and your skimmer and everything like that. So I've got a 3-foot tank. I had one. I've still got it in the shed with a rear chamber. And you're so limited of what filtration you can put. If you want to put a reactor, it has to be really small. Skimmer has to be really small. Whereas the 170, I've got a NIOS 120 in it, which is overkill, but I just had it left over from another tank. So exactly, Alex H. I'd go for the Reefer 170. I just think it'd be easier to manage, get a decent return pump, all the kind of stuff you can have. So, and I've had a 170 running on and off for 4 years, and I think they're great. Is
that his first tank? He didn't say, did it? Because if it's his first tank, the reason why I went for the Max Nano is because I didn't know too much about setting up a sump. I was nervous about setting up the sump and the equipment. I wouldn't be so much now, but when you're a beginner, it is quite a daunting prospect having the plumbing and then setting up all the sump and everything. If it is his first tank, I would probably go for the Max Nano because it is a plug and play. It says that on the box. So for a beginner, it's perfect. The only issue is that you might run out of a state to put your corals in after about a year and a half, and therefore the 170 will last you longer. But great tanks. Both of them are great tanks.
Yeah. So there's another comment up here from Ryan Allen, who said, even though any tips on managing biofilm in a nano where you want to avoid surface skimmer? Tanks and all in one, so no real effective overflow. So for me, I would just put a wave maker and point it towards the surface a little bit to try and break that up. That's what I would do. Don't know if you guys agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
All three of my wave makers, my return pump and my 2 wave makers all point at the surface. Yeah. And then it's all the surface is agitated for gas exchange. When I went to Signature Frags, that's the first thing I noticed about his tanks. They're like bubbling cauldrons. There's so much surface agitation because of the corals that it's got, the SPS. I thought, right, as soon as I get back from there, I'm going to make more agitation of the surface. Definitely that'll break up the film as well.
Also,
what I've done with mine is I've took my wave maker sits quite low in my tank to give the torches a bit more flow, and my actual return nozzle sits at the top. So what I've done is my return nozzle is a duckbill one. So if you imagine the duckbill sitting like that, I've turned it like that, so it's flat, that the top part of it breaks the surface, but the bottom part's still going in. So it makes it a little bit easier that way. So I don't really struggle with any biofilm on the top because my return nozzle sticks slightly up in the water. And it just gives it that surface agitation. So I don't know if that option's available for Ryan on his or not. But
hopefully,
I think also depending on the size of the Nano, because I used to have the Tunzi 9004 skimmer, and that skims both at the top, so it surface skims, as well as obviously it skims from the middle as well. So therefore, it does a really good job of taking that film off the top. But I don't know how big your Nano is, so it may be too big for that for that tank. But it's a really good skimmer for smaller tanks, especially all in ones. It's ideal for that, but it may well be too big, or you might not have that room, Ryan.
The other option, sorry, I'm just moving this stuff here. The other option is to go with those little You know, little return pumps that we've seen when we were at TMC, Paul. The new ones that they've brought out. What are they? The Reef Compact ones are they? I think no, that's actual. It's the Reef. What is it? Reef Flow 2.0. I'm sure that's what they are.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to get one of those little Reef Flow 2.0s, the tiny ones, and put them up the top, you could probably get away with that in a nano tank.
Yeah.
I would have thought.
Yeah. So there are some options, but I think, as you say, your return pump or flow pipe and having a duckbill, or a small or a power head and point it towards the top. Both of those will do what you need them to do. But I think from a cheapness point of view, if you can sort out your return nozzle, then that isn't going to cost much to get a little addition to that. That's probably also no more electric bill either on that. So it's probably the most cost-effective way from what you're saying, Ross.
Yeah. So moving on from that one, Phil has said, I think people are starting to think that keeping phosphate and nitrate at a 1 to 100 ratio is more important than where the numbers are. I agree with that, to be honest with you. I think if your ratio is right and your corals can handle that, then that's pretty much what we've agreed before. Poetry Witch is back again. Good evening, with cottage shrimps. Flying in a bit late. Hope you're all well. What's your poison tonight, Ross? Show us the bottle. Oh, tonight is just the diluting juice tonight, I'm afraid. Nothing exciting tonight.
Taking it steady now.
Yep, nothing exciting tonight. No need to ask Jay. Yorkshire Tea Belly.
Always Yorkshire Tea. Still not sponsored the channel yet, but we can live in hope. We can live in hope.
One day.
You're going to have to drop them some more mentions.
It's the only sponsor I want, and they're ignoring me. Doesn't really go well with their brand, though, I don't think. But there's nothing better than a cup of Yorkshire tea and sat looking at your reef tank, in my opinion.
I won't be in it.
No problem.
Match made in heaven.
Sky Marine, in fact, we'll jump that one. We'll come back to that one. Poetry Witch has asked, Jay, did the Pinky Balls coral turn up okay?
Great question. That is a good question. So my Pinky Balls are still in the shop at the moment. I haven't. So I've just been. So I've been teaching obviously this week. Busy job, as you know, Ross. But now I've got 2 weeks holiday, and I've deliberately kind of saved it for my holiday because it's going to be like a little reward and like a little reward to myself, a little gift to myself. So I'm going to go in the next couple of days and pick it up. Super excited because it did look amazing. And on the last stream, my head was falling off because I couldn't buy it. But Christian saved the day. But I'm going to pick it up. I need to do another video as well because I haven't done a video for a while. So the Pinky Balls will be in the video, but it will be certificate you, and it'll be.
Is this a PG video that we're getting, Jay? Is it?
We're a family channel, so it's definitely But I can't wait to pick it up. I might show a little bit of the shop as well whilst I'm there. So I do need to.
Nice.
So thanks for asking.
I'll go back to the question from Sky Marine now, who's asked, quick question, guys, have you ever had a coral without dipping it? So, yeah I have. I think probably everybody has to agree. You can't dip every coral, can you? So there are times when you just have to go with it.
And you can overdip.
Yeah, so as Jay knows, when you have an amphipod on your, what was it, your Kung Po, was it, Jay?
Kung Po, it sounds like Chinese dish, doesn't it? But yeah, Kung Po Monty that I picked up from the Kraken meat. Yeah, really nice, super nice piece. And I found an amphipod on it, which I didn't know what it was. So I thought,
Cobra meeting cold.
What's that?
Cobra meeting scenario. That one was.
Yes, I called a cobra meeting. And I think I must have double dipped or triple dipped it. And it probably had a bath of about 30 minutes, in excess of 30 minutes. And don't do it because it lost its colour and died. So, don't over dip. But yeah, I've got, sorry. I was going to say the rainbow chalice. The rainbow chalice is one coral that I haven't dipped. That went straight in. And my juggernaut Montipora, that went straight in without dipping. I was advised by Christian not to dip that. But yes, a couple of them. But the ones I definitely dipped was the torches and the hammer.
Yeah, I find with chalices, even the ones that are not rainbow, if you dip them for a bit too long, they lose their colour a little bit. I mean, obviously they come back, but I didn't dip the rainbow because on the basis they can lose their colour really quickly, and then they take ages to get any kind of colour back. So I didn't.
Sorry, I've just read a comment here that I have to put on the screen. I know it's not really relevant, but Yorkshire Team sponsor channels that do videos.
That's fair observation.
Cheers, Cotty.
You can't take that away. That is
true. I went back on my channel. I haven't posted in a month, but also
it's a short break for you, Jay.
I know, yeah, but I've just been so busy at work. But there's a shameless plug here.
Oh, don't start about you being busy at work.
No, I need some help. Look at my subs.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we'll need one more subscriber. Go on, someone do it.
Someone help me out tonight. Someone tip me over. Watch this now. They'll all go on and desubscribe. So you
you're 1,500 now.
2,000 subs. I'll make a video.
Come out. Tell us at the end of the live stream what you're on.
Double dip. I try not to. I've just realised what I said there. That's yeah. I understand.
But on that one,
try not to.
While we're on the subject, Howard must also be a teacher because he thinks teachers work their socks off.
Yeah. Honestly, this time because I've got GCSE and A-level kids, there's a lot of work to do with them. But yeah, I'm glad. Howard, enjoy your holiday, mate. 2 weeks off. We've got 2 weeks to live with our tanks now and just enjoy it. So I can't. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
That's good to have Algae Warrior back.
Hey.
Back again.
Hi, Algae Warrior.
So what's this? Jay, you need to tap up Sean Bean to get your Yorkshire tea sponsor.
I know, yeah. I'm not sure I can compete with Sean. Bean. Oh, Mr. Bean. Yeah, that's more like. I've even tagged them. I've tagged them on my Instagram a couple of times. Not many times, but a couple of times.
So
there's no reaction. They don't even follow me now. They don't even follow me.
No.
Gutted.
You're going to have to try harder, Jay.
I know. I thought, I've just been a fellow Yorkshireman, they would support me, but clearly not.
I think that's probably the reason why not. These Yorkshiremen are tighter than two coats of paint, isn't you?
Well, that's it. Someone asked me that. Someone asked what was my cheapest coral earlier, because we are known to be tight. And I was just trying to think about that. My cheapest coral is probably, it was apple sours, which is a zoa, which I picked up from Ocean Blue Corals. And I think it was about £15, but it came with an encrusting coral that I never even purchased, like a bonus coral. I couldn't even see it when I first got it, and now it's growing. I put them at the back, and because I didn't know what they looked like really, they were one of my favourites. Anyway, I put it at the back, started to grow. So 2 for 1, really good. I was well happy.
Nice.
Have you ever?
Gee,
have you ever had that? Have you ever had?
Must be you,
have you ever bought a coral that comes in?
You're starting to blank in it.
Am I going already?
Yeah, you are. It's not quite 45 minutes yet. You must be.
You haven't made it the full whack this time,
You're
mate.
peaking too soon. It's 39. Too soon. 39.
My wife's on holiday and I haven't got her laptop. Let me reset.
Go for a reset, mate. We'll hold the fort. Comedy gold.
If we haven't got Steve with, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate. I don't know what these headphones aren't working for.
Yeah, I paid £400 for these headphones, and it was the settings on his laptop. If he'd missed last week, that was pretty much the first 45 minutes, wasn't it?
Well, to start with, he blamed his laptop, though, didn't he? He always kept saying, I've paid a fortune for this laptop, and then I've paid a fortune for these, and just quite. I've just read a really funny question here. One of my clowns keeps sucking on the tentacles of my Duncan, and surprisingly, my Duncan hates it. Is your clownfish available for rehoming? Just asking for a friend. Probably mimicking anemone sucking. What's your thoughts? I would imagine so. I mean, my clownfish actually live in my Duncan now. They've kind of hosted that, and that's their new place. So
it's the same. It's the same here. Of all the corals I've got left, they've got one mini colony of Duncans, and they both live in there. The good thing I find with Duncans is they've done torches and they've killed torches. They've killed hammers. They've killed frog spawn. And they've been hosting the Duncan for at least 2 or 3 months, and the Duncan's good as gold. I haven't lost a head on it, whereas the others just absolutely hated the clowns messing with them. But no, I've never had a problem.
Brilliant.
Is it a common thing? Should I feel left out that they don't suck on my Duncan?
What we're talking about here.
just quoting what's on the screen, Ross.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had that before, have we? In over 12 months.
No, that is a new one of
clowns hanging
it sounds
upside
like
down, playing
it's like
dead.
a Jeremy Kyle line, isn't it? My clown sucks my Duncan.
No more faults.
Yeah, that is that one. So yeah, this is actually quite a cool one because I've seen the photos of this. Coral Reef Queen's clown hosts the fungi plate.
Oh,
I've never seen that before, but it's really cool actually. And the fungi doesn't seem to mind either.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Yeah, surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to throw in a dad joke there and thought, nah, better not.
There was one earlier on about clown. There was another one about clowns.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. This one here from I'm not going to try and pronounce that again. Aquarian, still not Aquarian. There we go. Aquarian won't let me forget saying his name wrong, so I'm not going to pronounce this. Question from me: 2 baby clowns, one's larger than the other. They don't fight, but little one always hides in the zoas. Bigger one just lurking in. What can this be? It's just natural, really, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, the clowns I've got across the 2 tanks. Sometimes they're together. Sometimes they're the opposite ends of the tank, and I just ignore them. Whatever they do, it could be really bizarre. And that's just clowns. I said earlier, I've found them both laying on the sand, and you think they're dead. And then 10 seconds later, they start moving, and your heart attack's gone, hanging upside down. They often do that, so I think that's why they're called clowns, aren't they? But it doesn't surprise me. It's only when they're lying on their side and they're breathing really funny that I'd get concerned. But they're pretty hardy, aren't they, clowns? So I think it's just clowns being clowns, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I've had men, like you say, Paul, lying on the sand, and you come in and go, "Oh no." And the next thing, it just gets up and swims away, quite the thing. So, yeah, I don't think it's anything to worry about on that one. Yeah. So, Jay Howard said, you've made 2K and not even here to celebrate.
Oh, have I? Let me have a look.
I haven't checked, mate. But...
Let me check. It's a big milestone, that is.
It is.
Oh, yes. Howard, if it's you as well, I really appreciate that. Cheers,
so what,
mate.
You on 2,000 or you gone more?
2,000 there, look.
On the money. Well done, Joe.
Well done, mate. Good.
That is fantastic.
Thank you. No, I never thought it'd get anywhere close to that when we first, started making the channel. So,
and
thank you for
following. Videos up too.
What's that?
And that's without you putting videos up as well.
Imagine if well, yeah, I know, yeah. Imagine if I put content on. My channel's going to be like in bursts. So when I have holidays, I'll be able to do a few videos, and then so like the summer, you wait till August. There'll be like a few videos then, because that'd be nice. But yeah, thank you, whoever subbed. If it's you, Howard, cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
You missed the comment from Salty Life talking about how that our clowns suck on our Duncan. So we said that clowns suck on the Duncans now. Need anger management. Then said the Duncan has 5 heads and constantly shriveled for it being sucked on. Mine's
it's usually the reverse, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Mine's no issues. Okay. I'm gonna try it. So this is Bozidar Dobryanov.
That sounds brilliant.
Where are you from? Where you from?
Where is that name
Eastern
from?
Europe.
Bozidar Dobryanov.
We like to know how far and wide this reefing chat actually goes.
Probably Bristol.
International reefing, probably Bristol. Yeah. International reefing chat here. I think you did quite well there, actually, Ross. You did better than you normally do with the other one. The Aquarian.
We'll go Aquarian. Because he messaged me the last time and says it's like the fish food brand Aquarian, and I was like, oh, we'll just go with Aquarian then. That's what.
Very good.
So hopefully I've not annoyed him again tonight.
Well, he hasn't turned up tonight.
Yeah, he's in.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's here.
I haven't seen him comment yet. Maybe.
Sorry.
Oh, very good.
He's here. I don't know how old they are when they begin to lay in corals. I'm not sure. Mine's do it, and they're probably the best part of, well, I'd imagine they'll be round about a year and a half, 2 years old by the time they're in my tank now, so I don't know.
Yeah,
And I've had my clowns for the same time, and they don't touch any corals. They're not interested.
It probably just depends on the clowns, I suppose, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. What you don't want them doing is starting to host your torch.
No.
Torches don't usually like it.
I think the clowns would be gone then. You'd have to get rid of the clowns.
Congrats, Jay. 500 before your 2K celebration video. Are you doing a big 2K giveaway, Jay?
I can't do them on the scale that you do them, mate. Honestly,
I'm only asking because I would love to see you so stressed out doing it. I just think it would be hilarious to watch you panicking. Going,
you think it'd be better or worse than Steve with the radiant light? Because his head exploded with that one, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I'd be a bit calmer than Steve. He took it to another level, didn't he? I think with that one.
Well, he did when he combined Instagram and YouTube.
Frantic.
That was it.
Yeah, I'd love to give a giveaway, but I haven't got anything to give away. No one gives me anything for free to give away.
You could do a Yorkshire tea giveaway.
I can give a bag for a tea bag away.
What, a used tea bag?
First prize, tea bag. Second prize, tea bag. Third prize, tea bag and mug. Yeah, maybe.
There you go, Jay. Don't want your head getting too big or your hairnet won't fit. Better go and subscribe.
I still remembered that. That is Christian, that is. And I've seen him since, and I told him off for it. I was like, you're taking the mick out of my hairstyle. That's stuck.
It did look like a hairnet, though, mate, I must admit.
I know, yeah.
Garrett said here that the clowns in his daughter's tank host a patch of zoas, helps keep the detritus off them, so they're happy. I've not seen that before, but yeah. I think my zoas would close up, because every time the crabs go over them, they close up. So
yeah.
There we go, look. Perfect. He's from Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Got it right. There you go.
I said that. I said Eastern Europe. What did you say Bulgaria?
No, but I said his name right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
I read it in the chat.
Oh, and I've got a full house. Look at this as well.
Yeah. He's on a roll.
I'm not going to say it again, but I said it right. There we go.
You're doing well, Ross. You're doing well.
Dan Reef has said, Ross, we're all dying to know how the Waterbox Part 2
yeah.
Speaking of videos.
So, long story short, it's here. And
wow.
Touch wood, I've not took it properly out the box yet, but it looks to be all okay. So fingers crossed over the weekend we'll get everything set up and in place, and yeah, that'll be hopefully maybe able to start things again. That's exactly 6 months after I placed the order now, so took a little while, shall we say, but yeah, it's here. It's sitting in my garage just now, and we'll hopefully get it up here, and then I'll spend the day crying, try to take this Aquascape out of this one and put it in another one and swap everything over.
The Aquascape is going to be a thing.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, I would just stay well out my way that day. That's not.
What? Do you have an anger problem, Ross, or something? What's going on?
Never know.
Seems so gentle when I talk to you.
I'm gentle, mate. I'm a loving, caring gentleman.
That's it.
Just not when it comes to rock or.
When it comes to reefing, sometimes you pull your hair out, don't you? Sometimes you pull.
I know. Look what's happening.
Literally.
Not much.
There's a good comment from Poetry Witch. Do we need an 0800 number creating for Duncan suckers? Yep.
Yeah.
This one, my name literally means God gift.
Wow.
Interesting one, that one.
That's a good translation. I don't know what the hell mine means.
Cottage Reef said, my Duncan's not been sucked for years at this show. But...
You better phone the 0800 number then.
Yeah.
Oh dear. 0800.
Rich Matty said, how often do cleaner shrimp shed? Mine is every 2 to 3 weeks, seems excessive. I don't think that's excessive. I know that mine was doing it every probably 3 weeks or so, I would say, yeah.
I must admit, when mine do, I have to look and say, is it actually shredded or is it dead? So I never get over the thing, oh my God, what's happened? And then you realise it's the skin. It's actually the skin. And it's quite often it's whole, so you think it's just the whole of the shrimp. It's amazing.
Sorry, I think I'm a bit behind on the chat here, but Heard that Yorkshire Tea don't sponsor people who live in Derbyshire.
Oh, yeah. That's harsh, but probably very fair. Yeah, You'll probably see me as a traitor. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, very good observation.
Yeah, industry and see all sorts. Salty Life must be in an LFS then, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, mate, yeah.
Where's Mogsy tonight? He is working, yes. He might pop on at the end of the stream, but I don't think he will. I think he'll miss this one. Howard said, are they taking the old tank back, Ross? No, they're not. They've left the old tank with me. So, believe it or not, actually, I've got the old tank and the sump and everything for that, the plumbing and the whole lot. And they sent basically a full new tank with new plumbing, new sump, new everything for that. So, literally got 2 tanks now with only 1 stand. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with the second tank, the one that's damaged as such. I mean, it's still watertight, it holds water. I could set it up, it just doesn't look nice with the scratches and marks on it. So, yeah, I could maybe put it in the garage or something and set.
You could have a quarantine in the garage.
Mm.
Maybe a bit excessive for a quarantine, but yeah, I could have something.
Goodness me, I can't win 1 tank. You've won bloody 2 now.
Well, yeah, true, technically, yeah. I'm just laughing at this one from Salty Life again.
Oh my god!
You can always rely on this stream to take a downward spiral every night.
So much smut on this stream tonight, isn't there?
It's all started with
Brian's in the chat. Hello, Brian.
Hi,
Once every moon cycle like clockwork, they can skip a beat in case of stress events like new tank or transport. There you go.
There you go.
So a big thank you to Brian. So he hosted us this week at TMC. So Brian is the CEO, I think, is the right title. Apology, Brian, I got the title incorrect. But yeah, we had a fantastic, probably a quite good intro to talk about the day. So thank you, Brian. It was a fantastic day. It all came about on the back of, if you go back, was it November time? We had Louis on here from Tropic Marine.
Yes.
And Tropic Marine got really close relationships with TMC. Started talking to Christina, who works as a colleague of Brian, and we had a chat. And then on the back of that, she organised and Brian organised a day for us. So there was 7 or 8 of us there, wasn't there? So went down to TMC, not too far from me. You obviously came down from Scotland, didn't you, Ross?
Yeah.
And it was a really, really good day. So
very good, wasn't it?
Yeah. So what can we cover off?
So I think basically the key things, well, kind of what we'd done on the day, I suppose, was we went in first thing, had a kind of tour around the fish house first of all. We kind of just left, they didn't say you can't go here, you can't go there. It was just a case of, have a look around, see what you guys think. So what I will say, the selection and the quality of stuff that is in there is phenomenal. I mean, it's really, really, really good. It was one of those, when we walked in, it was kind of like, wow, this is really impressive. Now, I know you weren't there at the start, Paul, were you?
No, I was running late, yeah.
Yeah, but when we first walked in, it was phenomenal just to see the amount of fish that was there. I mean, the fish was the big thing there. I think there's a lot of corals, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I think Brian will even admit it. Fish is most of the guys' passion in there, and there was some really, really interesting, unusual, strange, colourful fish in there. So yeah, it was great to see all that. Then we kind of got a tour around the building, get to see all the different areas where there's production happening. Through the filtration room, and some of the stuff in the filtration room was unbelievable. The size of them, there's like a big sump the size of a swimming pool. Then you've got skimmers that's taller and wider than me. You've got just everything was massive, and then the pumps even alone they're huge. So yeah, it was really, really cool to see on such a big scale how everything works. And a lot of stuff's done in house as well. So I think if I'm not mistaken, they said the guy that designed and built all the filtration in there still actually works there. I mean, TMC's been running since 1970, I think it was. So,
yeah, it was the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's quite impressive, that, to be honest. So, yeah, really, really good. So we got a tour around everything, and then we got a little presentation on basically TMC and how it all kind of evolved, and the business itself, how they source all the fish, kind of like from reef to retail as such, which was really, really interesting as well. And then had a look at some of the new products and so on. And yeah, it was a really, really good day. Everybody there was brilliant. They were really friendly, really open. You know, there was nothing, no secrets as such. Everything was there. So, I know Brian answered a lot of questions as well that we had, and all the guys did actually, to be fair. So, I thoroughly enjoyed it, to be honest. And again, like Paul said, a massive thank you to them for hosting us that day. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, the bit that was interesting for me is really how they collect the corals, collect the fish, and I think this is right. If you collect it on the Monday, it's with them on the Thursday. It's rested and then likely to be in the LFS on the Monday. If depending on the species, some stay there longer than others. Won't release the fish until it's in prime condition to be released. All the people that collect on their behalf, most of them they've helped in terms of setting up the kit and everything else in there, and the best practices where you know, you see some that they'll go out on 2 or 3 week fishing trips, collect the fish, go back there. So just the conditions of the best that they can be. They get something like, was it 24 to 30 shipments a week coming in, so it's kind of little and often. They know the source of where the fish has come from. In most cases, they know the diver who's actually collected the fish and the coral as well. So it's that kind of
because every fish is individual as well. So, you know, it's not as if they're going out and scooping up, you know, 2 or 3 fish, put them all in the one bag and then send them in. Each fish is individually transported as well. So you're not going in a bag together, nipping fins and so on. So from the minute that fish is caught in the sea to the minute it arrives at TMC, it's been in its own bag the whole time. So, and it's quite good. I like the way they've done the acclimation there. So they don't call it quarantine, it's more acclimation and resting time. It's done in a room with just red lights because the fish can't pick up on the red lights. It's almost like darkness to them. So while we can still see in the red lights, they can't. And they'll monitor them for a period of time it's not determined. You know, it could be 3 days, it could be 3 months. It's until they're ready to go. Once they're ready to go, then they'll go out for sale. I mean, the turnover of fish in there is ridiculous because there was these little really nice purple fish. I can't remember if it was like what was the name of them. So I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I basically went to get somebody to show them the fish, and when I came back, they were gone because a shopper came in and went, "Oh, we'll take all of them," and just took them. So. Yeah, it was really, really, really good, to be honest. Just that, you know, people look at it and go, well, that fish is in quite a small tank, but it's literally in that little small tank for maybe a day at the most, and then it's away again. You know, the turnover is phenomenal. Yeah. So, really, really good. And like Paul said about the whole collection thing, I mean, they were showing us like examples of not divers they use, but other divers where they go out and they've got a bucket on the top of the boat, and they just, you know, they put the fish into them, but you're in tropical sunshine, that water's heating up drastically, and then, you know, so the boats that are used to collect the stuff from TMC, they've got built-in pumps that's taking in seawater and refreshing it all around, and it's keeping the temperature the same, and just little things like that make it, you know, you don't really appreciate that when you go to your LFS and buy a fish or a coral, and it's something that you should always ask where it's came from, or, you know, how it's been sourced and so on. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff that we learned. I mean, I literally could spend all day talking about it, but there was a lot of learning done there, and a lot of nice products and so on as well that we've seen, to be honest. And I didn't even know about a lot of the products that was there. Went to the showroom and had a look around, and it was really, really good.
Is there any breeding goes on there? Is it all imports?
No, so they used to have a fish hatchery, I believe.
Clownfish. I think it's about 300 that they produce, 300,000 clowns they produce per year. But now they come from, because a lot of the tank bred clowns are now imported because it's cheaper for them to be reared in a different country and then importing into the UK than it is the cost of the UK to, I suppose, produce it on scale. But then we talked a lot about the costs and why is the cost going up. And just an example, it used to be about, well, before COVID, it was like £4,000. Sorry, I think, I can't remember if it's dollars or pounds, but it was 4,000. Height of COVID, it was 20,000, and now it's come down to 13,000, and they have to book a minimum amount of space, and so therefore you have to get your shipments in a certain level at a certain weight to meet your kind of quota. And I can't remember if it was a lot. It was quite a big shipment. It got up from 500 to 750. I don't know if that was kilograms or what it was, but you know, this is driven by the airlines. And a lot of it's gone up because there's not as many planes going across. And so as people return into tourism, then actually there's more planes crisscrossing across the world. So that should be, there's more supply, therefore the price should come down. But whether it actually ever comes down to 4,000 or not was probably the question mark on that. I suspect not on that.
Where are the sourcing? Do you know which countries? Just a geographer, I'm interested in which countries. So I guess Indonesia.
28 different countries, if I mind right. They said that they got them from. I think there was about 55 catching stations across 28 countries, mate. So there's, I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
But like Paul said there, they can track basically every fish back to exactly where it came from, what coral reef it came from, and what diver caught it, and so on. So, you know, everything's well tracked. And the interesting thing as well about the licenses, Paul, I don't know if you remember that one, saying that like each species needs its own license. I think that was more corals, though, was it not?
Yeah. So I think it was more corals. So what happens is you have to have an import and an export license.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the reason why you don't see imports coming in from the US, and I can't remember if you can't get an export license or you can't get an import. So you have to have the two to match. Yeah. That is why if you see things that say worldwide corals and things like that, there's a good chance they're illegal because you can't get licenses to bring in from America. And it's quite hard to bring licenses on certain stocks. So again, things like scollies,
master scollies,
scollies you can't get. I think where is it from? Australia. So what they do, they ship them from Indonesia to Australia, then use an Australian license or something along those lines. It was really interesting around, and you pay per species, so you have to kind of buy in bulk because it's quite expensive and it takes months. So I think they've got 4 or 5 people there just working on logistics of getting all these things in. Also, you have to look and say with the war, planes have to come in a different direction, so it takes longer, so it's more expensive. So it was fascinating to hear how the business adjusts to what's going on. And one of the scary things is that Australia, there's not many licenses and not much coming in from Australia. So majority of corals seem to be coming in from Indo. So if there was an Indonesian ban, we're kind of screwed because there isn't much coral then going to come in. So it was really interesting and a bit scary hearing about that. But it was really fascinating about the fish because we talk more about corals, don't we? Not so much about fish, but it was really good to see the wide range of fish.
Going back to the thing about the illegal corals as such, Paul, it was one thing that I'd never ever thought about. You know, if you walk into a shop and see all these colourful corals, or there's maybe 10, 15, 20 master scollies sitting there, and there's all these rare corals, and that high chances are that they've been brought in illegally. Now, I didn't know this, but you can actually just request the shop to show you the CITES number for it, and then you can go and get that number and find out if it's came in legally or not. Yeah. Which basically, I mean, if everybody starts questioning where does that coral come from, can I have the CITES number, and then you can go and check that, and that way you know that you're not buying a legal coral. Plus the price and so on will give it away as well because it's not paying the same price. But there's just so many different things that it's very dodgy that you need to just keep an eye on, I think.
So there's a comment by Salty Life around we get imports from the US. Apologies, I was referring more to hard corals because I think you don't need a license, do you, for mushrooms or zoas like CITES, but you do for hard corals. So I'm sure they said that fish come in, like you say, but it was, I heard around corals. I think you're right around. Obviously, you do bring them in from the US fish, so I think it's more coral related on that side. But it was fascinating. I must admit, I didn't ask how much the electricity bill was.
No, I didn't either.
No, I don't know why, because we talk about how much is electricity bill all the time, and I know some of the FSI talk, they got up by 10 grand I can't be 10 grand an annum or whatever it is on that. So I must admit, I didn't ask Brian, how much is your electricity bill if he was there? I'd be fascinated to find out when you got all those skimmers and everything else going. I mean, the return pumps, there were 6 or 8 of them. They were beasts, weren't they? There was 2 foot long, maybe.
I think I counted about 15 to 17 return pumps in that room, Paul. There was a lot.
Yeah, there was.
They were big units. I mean, the skimmers are massive. Yeah.
Brian said it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's going to be a lot of money.
Do they work with the international distributor? Do you know, or do they work directly with the community and the divers? And do they pay the divers and the community for the fish, or are they just getting it from a big distributor in Indonesia, and then bring it back into the UK?
So they I think have got, so it's not via a distributor.
No.
So they got the connection. They got the connections with the farmer, I suppose.
Yeah, the
I think
people on
they've
the
got
ground.
reps almost as such over there that deal with
and
it all for them.
Yeah, they help people set up. So we saw pictures of, because they also do a commercial side. So supply commercial UV, also set up for commercial use, tanks and everything else. So they use a lot of their knowledge and experience to help out locally with a farmer set up their not their store, because it's not a store, but their whole facility, I suppose. We saw pictures around just how that's all set up, and then also they'll go and farm in the morning from the corals, and they're not on the boats for days. It's in the morning, and then it's shipped in the afternoon. It's kind of the farms and the beds are on their doorstep, so they haven't got to go in a boat for hours upon hours or days upon days. So that helps that minimize the time from reef to store. And I haven't really thought about that. So it was a real eye opener and education, because we all know TMC for when you go in the stores, and they've got 70% of the market in the UK. So the vast majority of the stores we go to get their fish from TMC, and that's all you know. So they're kind of behind the scenes. So it was great to understand it more. We spoke to Brian openly around, getting the story out there more about TMC, what they do, how they get from reef to store, because we had this conversation. People see as TMC as a middleman that makes a huge amount of money, and their margins 30-35%. So it's not huge. So it's a massive turnover of stock, and they go straight from the reef to the LFS. And so there's a comment in there, the last comment there.
So Brian said, tend to use short supply chains where they can engage directly with fishers. If in countries where exporters are present, then have local buyers or our own staff there who work with us ensuring the quality. Yeah,
and there's actually quite a few videos on and explanations on their website. I never really thought about going to the TMC website and find out more, because it's not saying, I don't know, I found really relevant. You go to the store, you pick your fish, you trust your LFS, and you take the fish home. We don't think about where it's come from, do we? I haven't really, but it was a real eye-opener about the short supply.
No, it's one of those that you see, I've never ever really questioned it as such, and you probably should have. But when you see a fish in a shop or a coral in a shop or anything, you just go, "Oh, that's nice," and I could have that, and that's it. You don't really think behind the scenes, but I mean, I think it was Coral Reef Queens put a comment earlier saying, it's good to see how they're basically creating jobs for whole villages, and I think for buying nets for fishermen and so on like that for catching them, and it was really, really good to see, the behind the scenes right down to where they come from, and it was interesting.
I wonder how I'm just interested in this, how they get paid, the divers. Are they given a list of hot fish, as it were, to catch, and they get paid more for certain fish species that they catch, or you know what I mean? Or do they just go out and just catch whatever they can, or are they people who specialize in certain species to catch?
There's a lot of education goes on with it, because what was happening before they were educating the guys were going out, and they would go to the reef and then go, oh, look at that clownfish, it's massive. So they would get a clownfish that size, and pick it up, bring it back in, and then say, there you go. But that clownfish is no use to anybody because it's so big. So they need to be trained and have that education to get the right size fish at the right age. You can't take eggs or fry because they're too young, and you can't take older fish because you need them to reproduce to make more. So they've got to be at that right stage in their life, the right size and so on. So you really need to educate. Yeah, you've got to educate the divers and so on. And that's what they're quite big on, focused. If TMC and so on can educate all the divers, then you're helping that sustainability within the reef. So it was another thing that I hadn't really thought about. But it's a valid question, Jay.
I'd love to. Wouldn't you just love to go there for a week and just be with the divers and see how it's done?
That'd be brilliant.
See how it benefits their families as well, like how they make their money from it. Love that, to see that side. There's a side they don't see very often.
Yeah,
fascinating.
And also talked about the sustainability in corals. So if you take a coral, now they don't pick that out of the ocean. They grow it for about 6 or 8 months. Then they cut it in half. I think half then goes back onto the reef. Half they then grow out again, and then they can frag that and then they can export it and sell it. So it almost takes, I think it's 16 to 18 months is the cycle from when they pick it off the reef to actually be able to frag that and then go into the supply chain. But you're putting coral back into the reef all the time, and obviously you're then more coral that's growing naturally in the sea. I think I've got that right. It was around 16, 18 months. So it's a long venture, isn't it? It's not something that happens straight away.
Yeah, but the whole experience was really good, and like we've said, I mean, I never really thought of the sustainability side of it, but I mean, one wrong move, and if the activists and so on get their way, they could literally shut the hobby down. Because I mean, if you're not getting anything imported, then you're going to be relying on tank bred species, and I think Brian that said it when we were talking to him, that you'll then have a hobby that's got 5 to 10 different species of fish and 5 to 10 different species of corals, and it's going to end up quite a boring hobby if you've not got these fish coming imported. Now, as long as they're done sustainably, then there's no issue with that. But it's one thing that we need to be very conscious of, I think.
That's right. It was about 24% of fish are tank bred, and there's about 20 breeds of fish that are tank. So it's really small, isn't it? Like you say, in terms of you're not at the point where you could just go on sustainability of tank bred.
Have you got a dog, Paul?
I have, and she's playing up, and it's probably playing up on everyone else who's in the live stream, because I've had that before, haven't we?
She needs a dinner.
She needs something. She's just playing up this evening. Everyone, as usual, on a Friday night, everyone's out.
Everyone's dogs will be barking, like you say on the live stream now as well.
When I go on mute, I can hear another one in the background.
Yeah, there's one so they can hear your dog, and it's my next door neighbour's dog.
So apologies to everyone who's got a dog.
The whole neighbourhood.
I don't know from Brian for mentioning this, I don't know or not, but there's a new product coming from TMC very soon, which is a new tank in the line. Are we allowed to mention this, Paul?
Well, I posted it on Instagram, didn't I? I put a video of it that I thought it looked really, really good.
Is it a Nano?
Yeah, it's a 60.
It is a Nano, mate.
60 litre.
All about the Nanos.
So it's a 60 litre Nano, and it comes complete with the tank, a jump guard, the light, the pump, the skimmer.
Wow.
I think that's it. So you need to buy. It's an air-driven skimmer.
I don't think it comes with the lid. I think the lid is 20 quid. But
it's a lid extra. Sorry,
but it's you don't have to build it. So and I think the retail, I can't remember if it's $320 or $350. So it's kind of plug and play. You don't get a heater, so you have to sort out the heater, and doesn't come with a power head. But I thought it looked a decent bit of kit that fits in between the market between the Evo and the Red Sea Nano. I mean, they didn't say that, but just looking at what's out there.
Oh yeah, I can see it now.
I think it's miles ahead of the Evo, to be honest with you, Paul. I think it's way ahead of that. From when we seen it set up there, it looked. I mean, you walked in, I walked in, and both of us went, "Wow, that's really nice."
That looks smart.
Yeah,
it is actually really nice, and it's.
I'm watching a video now on your Instagram, Paul.
Yeah.
It just looks really nice, and it's kind of, I think, for, as I say, $320 to $350. You then got to buy your heater, the jump guard. I can't remember. Well, you can buy any heater, can't you? Your jump guard, and I think also the skimmer. The only thing that was a bit weird, you had a skimmer, but you had to buy an air pump.
Yeah, because
so I did say to Christine, why didn't you supply an air pump with the skimmer? Because you can't really run the skimmer without it. That's the only bit that I was scratching my head thinking. Not too sure. Obviously, the LFS can sell you an air pump. That was the only bit I had a question mark over. But in terms of the quality of the finish and stuff like that, and it was, it's set up. I just thought from a starter tank, obviously you've got to buy everything. You've got to buy your sand and your rock and blah, blah, blah. But as a tank on its own with a light in that, and I think by looks of the spectrum of the light, you can probably do softies, zoas. I reckon you could probably do chalice personally, because I think it's low light. Not sure. I don't think you can do SPS with it. I don't think it's designed for SPS. I'm not too sure about torches and stuff like that. That I don't know.
I think the torches would be okay. The spectrum didn't look too bad, to be honest.
Yeah, it comes with a skimmer.
Does it?
But not an air pump skimmer. That's the only question mark I had. So you get the actual fittings for the skimmer, but you need an air pump to obviously make it skim.
The bubbles,
yeah. So you've got 320. So there's a comment in there from Coral Reef Queens. It's 329 quid minus the lid. I think if I had a room for another tank, I would possibly get it, but I really don't want to have another tank.
Well, Max Nano's 600.
Yeah, and I mean it's about the same size, but it's slightly smaller than the Max Nano probably. And I mean, it comes, like I say, it comes with the light, the pump, everything. Like Paul says, it doesn't come with the air pump for the skimmer, but maybe that's because now I hadn't actually thought of reasons of it, but it might be because a lot of air pumps are noisy, so you could put a noisy air pump on it for the sake of a £5 or a £10, you get one off the internet, or you could spend a bit more money and get a really quiet one. So maybe that's the reason why, because if they were to buy it...
Yeah, but they had a skimmer running on it, and it was quiet, because it was the only tank running in the room.
Oh, was that skimmer running?
I'm sure it was. I don't know if Brian, I'm 95% sure the skimmer was running it, because it was fully running, because it had a... obviously, it was wet, it had rock in it, didn't have any livestock, so it hadn't been running that long. But I'm sure, I don't know if Coral Reef Queens remember. I thought it was.
It might be hidden in the bottom.
I remember there was a tube from the skimmer down into the cabinet. Yeah. Because the air pump obviously is in the dry area.
That's what I was going to ask. Does a cabinet have shelving? That's quite important, I think.
So I don't think that comes with a cabinet for that price, mate.
Oh.
No,
well, that is a bargain if it does.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no way it can come with a cabinet.
That's Yorkshire priced as if it does.
Yeah, so the cabinet they had it on was from an old model, and yes, that did have one shelf in it. I think they're looking at, because there was also other tanks there, and I've never seen a TMC tank before, and never really considered TMC. Do they do tanks? But they had about 4 or 5 models, and they all look pretty good. But it was that smaller one that really caught my eye. So I think they might be looking for a cabinet, but at the moment they don't have a cabinet for it. But you could easily get, because it's not that big, you could easily probably get an IKEA or something else, and I think it would probably be okay on it. But it's designed for kind of tabletop.
I also quite like the fact that Coral Reef have said there they've created the pieces of rock so that they've got what is it they call it again? Is it Eco Rock? I think the TMC stuff's called. So
yeah, that's what I've got. TMC.
There's basically 4.
It's amazing.
Well, they've got 4 different models of it now. So you've got like TMC Eco Rock 01, and you've got 02, 3, and 4. So the 01 fits perfectly in this little nano tank. Yeah. Then the 02 is actually designed to interlock into that one, so you can then put it in the next tank up. So like all 4 tanks that they've got in the range, all the pieces interlock. So by the time you get to the 4th tank, if you buy all the 4 bits of rock, they interlock perfectly to fill that tank up. And I mean, it looks really, really nice. Yeah. And I didn't realise that all 4 bits interlocked. I mean, they're dry.
I didn't know that.
It was Christina when we were there actually showed us, took the lid off and just lifted a bit out, and I thought, wow, that's it was really impressive, to be fair. So
really
good rock stuff out, and it's not something that like we kind of aim to go for. I mean, people don't really choose TMC as a first choice when you're thinking of a tank or anything like that. And when we spoke to the guys, they'll say they don't want to be top of the range or bottom of the range. They're a kind of mid-range brand that is where people want to be, I dare say. And it's really, I was impressed. I'm not going to lie, I was impressed with all the stuff.
Thanks for this, guys. I'm even more gutted that I couldn't make it now. It sounds like it was amazing. I'd love to.
You missed a really
fantastic play, Joe.
Yeah. Can we, if Brian is available, it's a big ask, but I'd love him to
you're
come
cutting out, mate. We can't hear you. You're dropping out. Sorry.
Brian, come on the stream and join us so we can have a chat, because I couldn't make it to the chat.
I did speak to him in the day, and I said it would be kind to him, especially you, Jay. So I probably want to speak to him about getting him on here. But it'd be great to, we can relay obviously what we thought and everything else. But as you can imagine, someone who's been in the industry for donkey's years knows a hell of a lot. So Brian, I'll be in contact.
Yeah,
as I said before,
he's answered the question on the air pumps there as well. So it's an addition that the LFS appreciates to make if they want to. Air pumps, a very competitive market. No need to reinvent the wheel, but like heater tank can run without. So yeah, he's spot on there. There's, they could do a TMC air pump or a heater or so on, but there's that many of them out there that So yeah, I get that. There's another valid one actually. Just before we move on from that, the new compact pumps. That was the ones that are with the suction on the bottom. So it's like rather than sitting horizontal, they sit vertically. I think they'll be really good for like the little tank that I've got and so on there. They should be. I think they're out now, are they not, Paul?
Yes, because I've seen a post from H2O Aquatics, which is local to me, and they've got a stocking. So they're like kind of bullets, aren't they? They're kind of that kind of size, quite small, and obviously the bigger the tank, the bigger the bullet, I suppose, in that respect. But they're quite unique. I haven't seen a return pump like that before.
But I think that from the presentations we got, I think TMC have got quite a big focus on innovating new products and so on now, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got quite a big development drive on the go. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I certainly think the Nano tank will be very popular. That's what I do think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do appreciate the photos of the gonnies. I know I sent you both a request. I said, get me some pictures of some gonnies. And whilst I was at work, I was getting these photographs of gonnies. So, and they did look really nice as well. So thanks. Did appreciate that.
So I'm not sure when the tanks are coming out to public release. I know did they say there was 200 or something of them in for a pre-order?
Yeah, I think they'd pre-ordered, was it 200 to 400, which must be pre-orders of LFS, but I don't remember when they said they was out. I thought June time, but I may be just making that up.
There we go. Jody said, Dean from TMC said by the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
That might be the first batch of pre-orders then out by the end of the month.
Yes, and that's not to say they're pre-sold. I suppose it means the LFS will have them in stock. They'll have show tanks if they're going to have them.
Are they British made? Are they British made? Can we have some British made tanks?
I didn't ask that question.
No more Chinese, please. It takes too long to get them, doesn't it, Ross?
Yeah, so I don't know whether they're made. I must admit I didn't ask the question. I know they're UV, the UV V's are made in the UK, aren't they? Because they're made next door to where they are. Both the commercial and also the domestic ones. Yeah,
their lights are made on site at Chorleywood in London as well. So all like their Aquaray lights and so on, they're all made on that facility. So. Yeah,
but I don't know about the tanks. Yeah, I mean, the only tanks that I know of that are made, I suppose, are the DD ones. You know what I think of those tanks because they're made 40 minutes from where I live. But I don't know where they're made. I didn't ask the question.
No.
They are not made in Asia, says Brian.
That's good. Yeah, because the Asia trade is getting worse. The time scale on anything from Eastern Asia is just getting longer and longer. So you need to kind of find alternative sources now. So if it's not Asia, that's good. If it's Europe, that's better. And if it's Britain, it's amazing.
Yeah, because let's just face it, if you import from China, it's 28 days just on the sea, let alone all the delay either ends. And then they've obviously got issues with stock and raw materials and everything else. And
they keep locking down council as well.
Well, they are. You know, it's Shanghai and some of the manufacturing districts have been closed down because they've had a lockdown, haven't they? Which affects all. They're worried about the Christmas stock of stuff because that's all made now to then start shipping from June, July time to hit shops.
Yeah. I don't know. Saying there's no info about the new tanks. I haven't seen any info about them being released yet, so I don't know if it's maybe just waiting until the launch date and then.
Yeah, so I don't know, Brian. Is there anything on the website about the tanks? I only know because obviously we was there for the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
TMC next sponsor your channels? No, they're not. It's just the fact that we were there. We're not associated with TMC at all. It's just the fact we were there this week. We had a tour around about and just being honest with what we've seen. That's it. There's no. TMC didn't pay us to say anything or do anything. That is literally our own opinions of that. So
absolutely.
No,
and if I got that small tank, I would pay for it in my own pocket.
Yeah,
there'd be no freebies on that side. But yeah, so in terms of if you look at it, the mass manufacturers, I know kind of Aquariums for Life, ND Aquatics, the custom ones are UK, aren't they? I'm thinking more like your Red Sea, Waterbox, DD, those kind of ones that are mass produced. Yeah.
Is Clear Seal marine tanks or are they just fresh water?
I don't know. Not sure. I mean, there may be others that are not. I think Aquariums for Life. I think I consider them custom built, but maybe I'm splitting hairs.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. Custom ones, MBM Aquarium Design. I've heard a lot of good things about them recently as well.
Oh really? I haven't heard of
that. It's a guy called Mick, I believe.
Okay.
He's done quite a few good ones. Where are we?
Yeah, I've heard. Do I need a reboot again?
You've gone, mate. You have gone.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, game over.
Next time you come on, you should be able to see us through to 10.
Right,
you should make it till the end, mate.
This next reset will get me all the way through. Can't believe my wife's gone on holiday and left me without a laptop. Right, I'll just
You're just going to
reboot.
need to buy your own laptop,
Sorry.
mate. That's all it is.
Too tight. Buying corals.
Is he gone? Is he here? He's gone. He's not going. He's not staying.
No.
Oh, there
He's
we go.
gone.
He'll be back in a minute.
Right, normal service can resume again.
I tell you what's interesting, right? I didn't think I'd bought any TMC products, and then I've realised all the frozen food I've got is TMC.
Oh, is it?
Just hadn't noticed. I've been
Yeah.
buying that stuff for years.
I'll tell you what I did try. I don't know if you've seen the little, the Tropic Marin. So they do the little feed. It's like little pellets. Is it Omega Vital 1.5 or 1.0? I've got them here now. These little things. That's not going to focus, is it?
No, I can't.
Oh,
I see. So right now. Oh, okay. So it's a little sample.
Yeah,
is that a sample pot? Or is that
yeah, it's a little sample of them, basically,
Yeah.
just little pellets. Now, the reason I mention these is my possum wrasse will not eat anything other than frozen mysis. That is all it eats. I've tried every single flake, pellet, everything under the sun. I got this little sample of the Tropic Marin stuff and thought, I'll try this, dropped it in, and it went crazy for them. So
Really?
this here could make my life so much easier because it means that I can put it in the auto feeder if I go away on holiday or any time, and I don't need to worry about that possum wrasse because it's the only. I mean, the clowns eat all the pellets and so on, but the possum wrasse is really fussy, and I couldn't get it to eat anything other than mysis. So yeah, this stuff from Tropic Marin seems to be really good, to be honest.
So what is it? Just really small pellets, is it?
Yeah, so
Or
it's
is it
pellets.
kind of-
They're 1 mil in size. So like,
Oh, so they
the
are
two
small,
different
aren't
ones
they?
you get Mega Vital 1 and Mega Vital 1.5 is the two that I've got here.
Yeah.
So they're only 1 mil pellets, and they go crazy for them. I mean, the clowns love them, but the possum wrasse is eating them as well, which is a big plus for me.
Yeah. It's probably down to the size of the pellet because that is really small, isn't it? 1 mil.
Yeah,
For a pellet
it's very
size.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. Like, so I know there's a couple of people have messaged me before asking about things to feed the possum wrasse and so on. So this is the Tropic Marin Omega Vital. So I don't know if it's an Omega type thing, but Omega Vital 1.0. And it's just a little sample that I've got here that I tried, but if I focus on it. So you can see the size of the pellets there.
You get a much better visual now.
Yeah, but it's really good actually. If you won't focus, but yeah. So that's what I've tried to feed my possum wrasse, and it's worked really well. So maybe worth a try for anybody else to try that and see.
Yeah, Algae Warriors said that Nios pellets, it crushes them, and the possum wrasse. Again, it comes down to probably possum wrasse liking smaller pieces of food, and obviously with mice, you get the big lumps, or you get the real small. They can chew them better.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Coral Reef Queens feeding at TMC. Do you know what they were feeding there?
Yeah, so they gave us a bottle, and I think it was just a mixture really of their frozen foods, was it not, Paul?
There was all kinds of foods they had there. I think they feed 7 or 8 times a day, a whole variety of foods as well. And when they get things like mandarins and pipefish and all that, I try and get them onto frozen as well before they go to the LFS. So there was just a whole range of food. And what was interesting, when the LFS go round with these white pots, and the LFS pick out the fish themselves with a net, because hopefully as LFS you know how to treat fish, and then they go into these white pots and they sit by a unit and they rest there for half an hour, then they get bagged up, and then they go. So it's really interesting, just how even that sounds really nerdy, doesn't it? How do they pick out the fish? How do they bag them up? But even to that, I found it interesting. I was more interested in the filtration than I was the fish. I was more fascinated by seeing the pumps, the skimmers and stuff like that. I spent more time in the filtration room than going around looking at the fish, which is really sad. But it was fascinating.
What were you doing there? I'd be the opposite to that. I'd be looking at the fish, not the pumps. Bloody hell. You must be into
your Jay.
I do like,
probably, I would say maybe 20 to 30 scooter blennies in it.
I did. Oh, I've seen that. I've seen Colette's video from the TMC day, and there's a tank there, and I did see them, and I was like, oh my god, I'd love just one.
Yeah,
They looked amazing.
Brian's answered the question. So it's gamma, copepods, mysis, artemia, various types, red plankton, and dry gamma plus dry algae. And it's all in a bottle, all mixed up, and they just go around dropping that in. So yeah, they feed them very often in there, but filtration can handle that as well.
Yeah.
Well, they say you're supposed to see them feeding before you buy them, so I assume the LFS do the same thing, don't they?
Probably,
I imagine they do, because they are given something like that to go round and they can feed.
Yeah.
And each individual tank, the water doesn't go between the tanks, so it goes into that tank and then comes out of that tank and goes back into the central filtration. So the tanks are all, I don't know how many hundreds of tanks that were in there, but each one is individual. And I mean, it's all connected to the fish is all connected to the same sump, but you don't have the water going from one tank to another and going across.
Yeah, and I mean, they've got different systems as well. So like the inverts are on one system, corals are on another system, fish are on another system, and so it's split up that way as well. But yeah.
Are they copper treated as well, or I assume maybe?
No, I
No.
don't think they do copper treatment.
No, because they're acclimated. They're not quarantined.
Oh, okay. They're not quarantined, yeah.
Yeah.
I think France single-handedly overfed the Scribble Angel at TMC.
Probably about 3 times the size now.
They're
like Steve's Aquariums.
That's really our trick there. So there's a comment here from Aquarium. Nailed it again.
Wow, he's doing it. Very good.
What are your thoughts about tanks with solid lids? There's a Fluvoflex 123. It's lights mounted in a lid, no evaporation, but poor pH. Literally what you said there.
Yeah.
No evaporation on that. But I mean, even the little Pico tanks that we've got has got a little hole in the top of it, but the lid of that gets a lot of condensation on the top of it. Doesn't evaporate much. I've never measured the pH. In fact, I haven't done a water test in that tank at all. But yeah, I think that's going to stop your gas exchanges such that your pH is going to be pretty low on that.
Yeah. So I had a frag tank that I had an acrylic lid made for specifically, and I had about 12 holes in it. So yeah, you get a hell of a lot of condensation on the bottom of it. You get algae on the bottom of it. You have to clean it. I did sometimes struggle with growing SPS, whether that was because of pH, but zoas used to grow like weeds, chalice. So all the LPS and zoas were fine, but SPS I couldn't really nail for a long period of time, and that could have been down to pH. And I had a small amount of fish in there, and it worked really well because I didn't have much evaporation, so it helped on the maintenance. But if you get an acrylic lid, acrylic bows really easily and really quickly. And this tank was not even 3 foot long, and it was probably about I don't know, less than 2 foot wide, from front to back. So it wasn't wide at all. And it bowed and it was reinforced, but acrylic lids are not easy to maintain. Or to
it needs to be a polycarbonate lid, I think, doesn't it, Paul? That's the one, like the one I've got on there and so on. And whereas acrylic, I mean, even the little Pico tank that I've got, the little acrylic lid on the top of that has got a slight warp in it as well, and that's just a tiny little tank. So, yeah, acrylic's probably not the best for that, to be honest. So, yeah. Right.
We're getting quite a lot of like serious reefing questions tonight. It's quite good, actually. We don't normally get so many, sensible reefing chat going on.
Well, you mean like the Duncan question of the observation?
Yeah. It's nice.
Well, since you asked, Jay, you can use your cooling fans for your laptop, and hopefully that'll solve your issues.
Yeah, my third set of them already. Can't believe that.
There's a good point from Debbie's Little Reef. Found a bit of garlic guard with food helps fuss eaters. That's very true. I found, especially so I know that I used to feed the frozen mysis, but now I feed the frozen mysis with garlic and spirulina. And when you feed that, they go so much more crazy for that when you put it in compared to just the normal stuff. So, you can actually almost see the little kind of mist of the garlic going in the water, and that's when you see them all perking up and coming straight up for it. So the garlic definitely has a feeding response in it. I don't know quite how it works, but it does help.
Yeah. It's supposed to be get rid of parasites and keeps the fish healthier as well, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
I've heard. Is Debbie's Little Reef, is that the sister channel of yours? Because that logo looks like yours.
No, it's not. I might have had a hand in that logo, but
oh, there we go. It looks like the sister channel to Bearded Reef.
Yeah.
That does.
It is. Just slap on a new name. Nice logo, though.
It's not as good as the new logo I've done for you, Jay. I need to release that one soon. That's a good one.
No, leave mine as it is. I'm very happy with my logo. I don't want any vandalism on it.
I think your new logo is really good, though, Jay. I like it.
No, I don't, because you're just taking the mick out of me again.
No, I think that's unfair, but it might be true.
We wouldn't do that, mate.
No, just leave it as it is. It's fine. Actually, I don't know if people know that. You Ross made my logo as well, didn't you?
I did,
mate,
yeah.
Back in the day, you made my logo, so thank you very much. But just leave it as it is. I know you have the royalties and everything.
So there's a comment on there from Hayley. What do you think? Bit overkill adding a skimmer to the Waterbox 15? Because you've got a Waterbox 15, haven't you, Ross?
Yeah, I do, and I don't think there's a need for one, to be honest with you. I think it's I do think it's overkill, and it seems to be an American thing. So all the Americans, obviously, Waterbox is big in America, and the Americans seem to get a Waterbox, even the little cubes and so on, the little 10s and everything, and they're putting skimmers on them straight away for day one. And for me, I don't think there's really a need for it, especially not from day one. But yeah, each their own. If you want to put one on, by all means do it. It's your tank, but I don't think you need to. But
it's interesting, Ross, because not too many years ago, it was almost like if you have a tank, you got to have a skimmer, regardless of the size. That was the perception. I think if I go back, certainly when I came into the hobby, it was only 8 years ago, and even probably to 4 or 5 years ago. It's only, I think, anyway, that I've noticed recently about smaller tanks not having the need for a skimmer, and people having. I'm sure there was people before that, but it's a bit like the thing where you've got to have low nutrients. You've got to have low nutrients, and you've got to have a skimmer. That was almost part and parcel of it. Definitely has its benefit, but to your point, don't necessarily need it on the tank that you've got.
No, I don't think you do, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's each their own. There's one here from Ryan again, who said, "Do you rinse your frozen food with Arrow? If so, that not get rid of all the garlic and additives?" So I do rinse mine. I don't rinse it as such. What I actually do.
Yeah, off the shelf.
Off the shelf.
I'll go to the shelf of magical stuff.
Once after we've done this, we'll go to one of Jay's tips. Hold your powder for now, Jay. We'll come back.
I haven't got a tip today.
Well, you better think of one. Think of one. But don't say it until Ross is finished.
Here's my tip. So I've got a little glass of, don't know what that came from. A glass from some bar that I probably lifted it from. And I got one of these little strainers. I think it's a tea strainer or something that I got off of Amazon. And I basically just fill that up with RO water, sit that in there, and then drop the cube in it and let it sit in there till it melts enough that I can put it in the tank. Then I just literally lift that out and drop it in the tank, and that's how I do mine. So I'm not in theory rinsing it with RO water. I'm more just immersing it in RO water, and it seems to still work okay. Whether it's right or not, I don't know, but that's how I do mine.
So I'm weird how I defrost mine. I get a saucer, I put the blocks on the saucer for it to defrost, and then I just pour the water off the saucer and just put it into then RO, and that's it.
Yeah, okay.
So I just let it. I've done it like that for you. Why have I done it? I don't know, but I always think the water in that is high in terms of nutrients. So I don't want to add that to the tank, and that's how I've done it. It's a bit weird because I haven't seen anyone who does it that way before, but it works for me, and I can just drain off all the excess liquid from it.
Yeah, if it works, mate, why not? I don't know. I mean, you say it adds excess nutrients, which it does, obviously, but I mean, I feed mine's frozen probably every third day, I would say, and I don't know if that's got enough to add to my high nutrients or not.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying about if you don't defrost it, the way you're doing it in terms of using RO, it's draining through, so you're flushing all of the nutrients out of it. Now, whether you're flushing the goodness away of it as well, I don't know. There is a risk of that, isn't there? Because if you look at some of the stuff could come off it. I don't know if there's oils and other things in there that the fish would consume. Obviously, they would, but if you're flushing out of RO water, are you then flushing the goodness away? I don't know. I never thought about that before. Maybe you are.
Yeah. That's why when you're boiling your vegetables for your Sunday dinner, you should use the water for your gravy, because then you get all the goodness from your veg in your gravy. Then, don't you? There's your tip.
If you say so, mate.
You've
Yep.
got the bottom of the saucepan for that, haven't you? You really.
That's not the tip. That's the top tip. No, the top tip. I'm just going to rob Brian's the top tip this week. This week's top tip is feed a variety of different foods, different sizes, live foods, dry foods. Then you can't go wrong. That's today's.
That is such a cop out.
Thanks, Brian. Brian saved me on that one. And use your vegetable water for your gravy.
Yeah. Do you use Bisto or do you make your own gravy?
Well, I say we. Kate, my wife, she makes the gravy. But I know she definitely doesn't pour the veg water away. It goes in with the stock, and gravy's good. We like a lot of gravy up north as well.
Yeah. So this has now become the cooking channel today.
Yeah. Now it's a party. What more would you want on a Friday night than vegetables?
To make your gravy with Jay.
There was a similarity, because if you're washing stuff away like Ross does, I don't want to lose the goodness, do you? That's what it is. That was the link. It was the loose one, but that was the link.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying that, just chuck it in, it's all good.
Yeah.
I chuck mine in, but I don't know because I'm lazy, I think.
What are we talking
I
about?
obviously chuck the cube in, but I do just chuck the food in. I don't filter it, I don't wash it. I just put it in.
He's trying to get sponsored by Oxford.
He's desperate now.
To think of it, I quite like Oxo, traditional sponsor. They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
So Nick's a bit late to the party here, but yeah, it did come, Nick. It came on Tuesday there, so the tank is here.
Oh yeah, it's here.
So on that, Ross, have you actually unwrapped it? So you've looked at the glass. So you've looked at the glass to make sure there's no imperfections there, like you had before. Or you not had a chance to do.
No,
that?
so what I've looked at it from the inside. So basically, I lifted the sump and everything, took it all out from the inside, and looked on the inside of the glass. But it's in my garage just now, so I need to leave it in the box to bring it upstairs to where it's going, and then I'll rip, because the only way to get it out of the box, it's such a tight fit, is you actually have to just rip the box open on all four sides.
Right.
I don't want to do that until it's up in the house.
Makes
then,
sense.
Yeah.
So you got an unboxing on Sunday then, or the weekend?
Yeah, 6 p.m. Tune in Sunday night.
It's not.
Yeah. So Saturday's the unboxing, and Sunday's the aquascaping, and then Monday's the aquascaping, and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, and then
Craig
Tuesday.
David. By the time I come down and see you next Saturday, it might be done.
And then the problem with that is once I've done that, I'll have smashed the tank to bits because I'll have lost the plot with my aquascape, and it's all game over again.
So Ross, I want it done by the time I come and see you Saturday week.
What is it next week? You got no chance.
Yeah, next Saturday I'm meeting up with Ross.
Wow.
Can't guarantee that, I'm afraid, mate.
Maybe I'll get. What we do, we can have a go at aquascaping on a Saturday.
Okay. That would.
Or
that
you
would
can
be
aquascape and I can film. I tell you what, we do it live. How about that? We do a live on here. You're aquascaping and I'm filming and commentating.
Yes, Ross.
Jay, how about that?
I'm
How
not
many
lying.
lives have I done with equipment? You've not done a
There's
single one yet.
There's not
come
enough
on,
beeps
Ross.
in the world that could cover that amount of language that would come from me at that point.
I could do a David Attenborough voiceover. So here's Ross in the studio.
As I'm whirlwinding round the house going mental.
I think obviously that we're on your channel tonight, and your loyal followers, I'm sure, in the chat would love to comment on you doing a live of unboxing your tank, doing a live of your aquascape.
The viewers
you can comment all you like, but it's not happening. That is a guarantee.
Well, don't mess about with my logo.
It's done. It's already done, mate. It's messed about with. It's done. It's already been changed, shall we say.
And save.
See, there you go. So Jodie will back me up on this one. I've experienced Ross trying to escape. That does not need to be live.
Are you that bad? Is that your developmental area? Is it?
I don't think I'm bad. I think it's just the fact that I want it to be perfect and I can't get it perfect. So then I end up that annoyed with it. Yeah, but I just It's not a good moment for me, that one. And I just can't stand folk that just chuck rock in the tank and go, yeah, that'll do. I hate that.
What do you mean, like Steve does?
Yeah, but to be fair, Steve's landed lucky because his looks really good.
Yeah.
It does look good, yeah. It does.
But yeah. Oh, there we go. I've gained at least one fan tonight. So Aquarium said, "Don't get Ross favourite reef for now. You can say my name."
Yes.
He's been practicing all
There you
week.
go.
There you go.
At least one person now, that's all I need. But yeah, there was a lot of practice went on in that one. See, there you go. So he says I got 45 pictures of all different angles and he still ripped it apart. So, yeah.
This has to be a video with some bloopers on it, I'm sure.
No, do you know something? I started a video on my Aquascape and thought, I'll film this, I'll do a wee video on the Aquascape. And it was about 10 minutes in where, without a word of a lie, the sweat was running down my head, I was getting stressed out, I was smashing bits of rock up, I had a hammer in my hand and everything, and I was like, nah, just switch this camera off, this is not happening now. So,
Well,
yeah, that did not end well, to be honest with you.
if you want to see an Aquascape video, head over to mine and Paul's channel then.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't watch mine. But the thing is, the very first one that I'd done for the little peninsula tank there was literally effortless. Like I had the shapes that I seen in my box and I was like, oh, I like those ones, so I just stuck them together and it worked. Whereas with this one, I think I've got an idea in my head of what I want and I can't create that. And that's where I'm struggling.
You're overthinking, aren't you? That's what it is. Overthinking it.
I think with Aquascaping, it's your choice of rock over how you're actually doing it. I think if you get some decent
I'll tell you exactly what it
rock
is.
to start with.
This crap here, do not ever buy this. This is the worst product out there.
How come that's not on the shelf? Where was that from? That was down between your legs.
That was underneath the shelf.
Under the shelf, mate. This is the worst product I've ever used. So I don't care if I get any flack for this. It is terrible. Just goes brittle after a while, starts falling to bits. It is absolutely awful. So yeah, I know people jump on here and say rubbish, but nah, tried it so many times.
They're not watching, Ross. I hope they're not watching.
Yeah, not going to get sponsored.
I hope they are watching, so they'll make a different product because that one is rubbish.
Stonefix, can we have a thumbs up?
Yeah, there you go. That was in the bin,
tonight's
so, yeah.
video.
That was in his bin. So what are you going to use?
That was in his bin.
I use Nios Reef cement. That's pretty good. Although that sets really quick, but it is pretty good.
I mean, this stuff here sets really quick as well, but then after like
falls apart.
I don't know, 5-6 days, it just goes brittle and falls to bits.
Oh dear.
I mean, I dare see if I had made it.
Does it need to be sat in water or something though? Because yours has been dry. Yours has been high and dry for months, hasn't it?
At all, it's meant to be dry. But if I'd made it and then put it in the tank a day later, it would have been fine. But because I made it, left it for the best part of a week, and then went to move it, it just crumbled and fell to bits. So I don't know
that though, should it? Because I've used Nios cement, and in the 900, I made two different ones, and used that and put that in there, and it was fine. Didn't come apart at all.
Mm-hmm. So I've got the DD putty that I'm just going to use to put it together once it's back in again. I'll just use a bit of that and then hope gravity does the rest, really.
I'll definitely go for something like Nios cement though, because the putty's okay, but I wouldn't rely on it just solely to do an aquascape. That's my personal view. I mean, it'd probably be okay, Ross. But
to be fair though, I mean, the aquascape that I've got sitting in this tank just now has no putty, no anything. It's just balanced.
that doesn't either.
Yeah, it's been there that's been weeks and weeks and weeks now. And I mean, I've rocked the tank, I've moved everything about, and it is pretty solid. So I think if I can recreate that just with some putty to hold it in place, then I should be okay with that.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to seeing it. Can't wait to see your new skate.
That's if it works, mate. But
it will. It will.
Yeah.
You'll get there in the end.
We've got faith in you. And if you haven't got what you need, it'll be on that shelf. So you'll be all right.
Yeah. I really should do a video of a shelf, shouldn't I?
Can we have a video?
Seen the shelf.
On Sunday night, Ross's shelf.
I know.
What's
on the shelf? Look, you can see his face now. That is going to be a video. I guarantee. Watch this face.
By popular demand, here's my shelf.
When I'm struggling for content, it'll be top 5 items on my roofing.
Top 5.
That's what I'll go for.
The worst 5 items. The 5 waste of money items.
Yeah. There's literally everything on these shelves, so yeah.
I hope they don't fall on your head on this live stream. All comes tumbling down.
This is how good it is. So here, just off this shelf, there's a shot glass. There's a spirit level. There's a memory stick. A harmonica.
How random is this?
and loads
I feel
and loads
like I'm
and loads of
watching a
skeleton.
generation game here.
Yeah. Oh, there's a check as well. I've got
Can
a
you
check in
remember
the
all the items that Ross has just shown us?
check.
Oh, a check.
Did not know that was even there. Yeah, so that's my reefing shelf of not reef related goodies. That's only one shelf, so yeah, you can
Everyone's
imagine.
got a reefing shelf.
That's there's
Yours
quite a
just
few
seems a
items in that.
bit larger than everybody else's.
Yes.
I actually forgot I had a harmonica. That's a good find.
Very good. You can end.
Is that another video?
You can play everybody out at the end when it gets to 10 o'clock. I want you to play us all out.
When Julie's put the message up.
They'd be like, Free Willy.
What? What are you on about now?
You never watched Free Willy?
What?
I don't think he's
You've
ever
never
heard of the
seen
film.
Free Willy?
Yeah, I've heard of the film. Yeah.
You've heard of it. You've got to have watched it, Jay. Come on.
He
Yeah,
thinks
I've
it's a
watched- yeah, I've
wind.
watched
It's a
it.
wind up.
I've watched it. Where he kind of jumps over that rock
Oh, right.
drawing
Aye.
or whatever it is.
Jumps over the rock, mate. That's the one.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
So, there we go. That one took a strange turn there. Yeah,
It is.
let's get back on track.
Very
here.
strange.
Blah, 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 blah.
It's
DD,
like what's
what's
happening
that?
in the chat?
Yeah, a few people saying about using DD putty works great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
DD works fine. Use 10 boxes on mine. Good. A couple of people saying Stonefix is brilliant, but I know that's a lie.
I know what. I don't know if you've read the instructions. Have you done the typical bloke thing and just like try
That's a
just to
fair
do it?
point.
Jay, I'm not lying here when I say I read the instructions. I watched every YouTube video possible on how to make Stonefix, and I've made it in every different consistency possible. I had different trays making it in different
They
consistencies,
were riveting videos.
from really runny to like really thick ones. I've tried everything, and
That sounds
even,
really sad. I've read.
it was
watched
another
your
video that I had done where I was like, I had basically done a video of showing people how to use Stonefix, and that lasted about 5 minutes. And I deleted that one because I thought, I don't know how to use Stonefix. So
I don't know how
can't
to
anybody else
use
how to do it.
I'm going to contact the CEO of Stonefix and get him to come on as well.
Do it.
Do a live
That's
chat
what I want
demo.
from
You
you.
can chat to him, Ross.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting conversation, won't it?
Oh dear.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
How bright's my light? It looks like a bloody night sun there, doesn't it?
What is going on with your light tonight, Jay?
I
'Cause it's
don't
usually
really
off by
know.
now.
Have you changed the settings again?
It looks like it. I've turned it obviously on for the live stream, but it looks like it's pointing at the actual camera, but it's not. But it's ridiculously bright.
I like that comment. That's a good one.
Maybe speak to one and see. Yeah, very good.
So here's a topic of debate here from Aquarium again. Any news on Vibrant? So I don't see the big deal with Vibrant. I use it. I don't see an issue with it. I've seen people talking about it and so on, but I don't feel a need for Vibrant to release anything. They haven't really anything to release about, to be honest with you. So I'll continue to use it when I need to, and I don't think it's a bad product.
So I've used it before as well. I know it's quite expensive, but it lasts ages. So I've used it before, and not had any adverse effect on the tank. Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Mm-hmm. I've never had any issues with it.
I use it in small quantities every so often, and it cleans up the tank, which is what it's supposed to do. And no problem with the corals or the fish or anything. But yeah, I use it in really small quantities. But it's like, I don't know if it's a bit of a guilty pleasure now. It's a bit of a swear word, isn't it, Vibrant? But yeah, I'm confessing. I use it, still use it, very small quantities. Cleans up the tank, and I've never had any problems.
But is it the age-old thing, like we've said so many times before, because your changes don't show for a couple of weeks, then, you know, something might have happened previously a couple of weeks back, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's Vibrant that's caused this, or Vibrant's caused that, and I don't know. I just think people are too quick to jump on things rather than actually knowing the substance behind it.
I think it's around what's the substance. People are saying what they've said is in it is not really what's in it, and so are they?
Yeah, and that's wrong. If it's
selling
not,
at a higher price than what it should be, it's a basic product, blah blah blah, and they're souping it up, so to speak. I don't know. But if you use it and it works and it lasts a long time, there's other things that are more expensive. I get the point around you know, are they mis-selling? Are they charging
Yeah, and
a lot
that's
more?
wrong.
All that kind of stuff. I kind of get that, but I use it, and I don't use
But
it very
going back
often.
to that early question about algae management, that's one way in which I maintain the algae levels. It's like 1 mil every month or something. Just seems to, you know, very little amounts, but just seems
Although
to
what I
keep
will say is
algae in check.
the Vibrant didn't really do much for my hair algae when it was really bad. I mean, remember the stage where my tank was literally like full of grass?
Yeah.
The Vibrant wouldn't touch it at that stage. So whether it's good for tiny wee amounts, maybe, I don't know. I know it's really good for bubble algae and stuff like that. I've heard.
Yeah, I've used it for bubble algae, and then I got an emerald crab, and then that tank was fine with emerald crab. So I stopped using it because the emerald crab was doing the trick, and also it was feeding on other stuff on the rock, so that was cleaning the rock. So for me, I prefer the emerald crab.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it is a way of getting rid of that if that's what you want to, if you prefer to do.
Fine wispy algae, it will clean that up.
So Haley said no on the early crabs from emerald crabs from me. Sorry. So I've heard people saying that emerald crabs have ate their zoas and so on, and had issues with them, but it's not something I've ever had in my tank, so I don't know.
I've never seen them eat zoas before. I've seen them pick around it. So I've got one in the 900, and I've watched it sometimes. You think, oh my god, it's going for that coral, but I haven't seen it actually take the flesh of a coral or anything like that. What I've seen is go around the base and it picks algae and other stuff like that. But I haven't then come back to that coral and it's dead or it's been eaten or anything like that. So I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'd never noticed. And I've kept emerald crabs in quite a few tanks over the years. Not to say they haven't eaten it. I just haven't noticed.
Yeah, I've definitely heard people saying that they have ate them, but again, I've never had one to say yes or no, really.
Yeah.
Jay, what's happened with your lights? They're now completely off in the space of like 2 minutes.
So, in Mobius, this only ever happens on a live stream. Obviously, I've got a sequence, right? But when I'm on a live stream, you can program them for 2 hours to be on a certain setting. So I make sure that they're on. Otherwise, the tank will be pretty much like this for most of the live stream. So that's what's happened. It's just gone off.
Oh.
They're ramping down, Ross. They're ramping down.
It was a cliff down that one, I think, Jay. There was no ramp there. It was just it was straight off the cliff and off they go.
Well, you know, price of electricity nowadays.
Yeah, well, that was something I've seen. Dom from Kraken had shared a post basically with energy saving tips and so on. It was a really good one actually, of different ways, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, really good.
If I can get it again just to quickly get this before the stream ends. But
so, what was it? A post or a video? Did you say, Ross?
No, it was a post. I'm not sure if it was on his story or if he put it on his page. Let me just have a quick look.
What, so was it on Insta?
Yeah, so he's basically put 6 energy saving tips. So his first one is reduce your lighting hours. Start small with just half an hour each end of the day. This will reduce your consumption and keep an eye on any coral changes. So you can drop your lighting period by an hour a day, half an hour each side. Reduce the intensity. Now he has said do this slowly so the corals get used to the amount of light. Reduce your lighting by a couple of % will have a positive impact on your electricity bill. Turn down your return pump. Often these are run higher than we might actually need, so slowing them down can also have positive impact on the way our tanks run. Reducing the speed slightly will reduce the energy consumption of the pump as well. Reduce the amount of flow from your wave makers. Again, you want to observe the coral, make sure you're not causing any issues, but a small reduction will help. And then reduce the temperature of your tank. So most of us keep our reef tanks around 25 to 26 degrees, but we can afford to lower this a little. Keeping it at 23 to 24 degrees will help save energy. The actual temperature of reefs varies anywhere between 20 to 35 degrees. So, you know, our on mine's 25.6, I think it is. You could drop that down to even 25, and that you do it over a period of time, obviously. But you know that would help. And then the 6th one's a potential. So he said potentially add a lid to those open top tanks. Much as you might not like the idea, it retains the heat and reduces evaporation, which it does, but you're then going to have, you know, the gas exchange isn't going to be as good and the pH struggle. So that's a potential one. But I mean, all of those, they're small things, but I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah, they all do make sense. And if you've got a few tanks, then yeah, you can.
More tips. Good. They're really good there.
They're not my tips. They're Dom from Cracking Corals tips.
Crackers. And actually, 5 of those 6 you can do without doing anything else. You obviously got to go and buy a lid, but the other 5, just adjustments. And if you do all of those over a period of time rather than doing them all at once, I would suggest, then you probably can shave some money off your. Oh, blimey, it's
harmonica time.
Yeah, and you're gonna get the harmonica out.
Get the harmonica out, Ross. Just
play us out.
I'll save it for a special edition. That one, mate.
What? Yeah, you get way more thumbs up on your channel then if you get your harmonica.
It'd be funny if you get it and play us a tune. He's gonna practice, something before he does it.
I'll do it on Jay's New Year special. That's what I'll do.
I was hoping for a Craig David rendition at the end.
No, not Craig David. No way. Craig David's not with us tonight. He can't be here.
Oh yeah, his beanie hat. Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, he must have his heating really low down when he's got beanie hat on inside.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. If we stay on much longer, he'll come on and say, "Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Am I late?"
That's his intro, isn't it? He doesn't say hello, welcome to the live stream. He's like, "Can you hear me?"
No.
He showed the T-shirt. He showed the T-shirt with a mic with headphones saying, "Can you hear me?"
Yes. Can we have a T-shirt, Ross? We'll all chip in to buy Steve a T-shirt.
We should do. Yeah, can you get one? We'll send it to him and he can wear it on the live stream.
Can you hear me? With some headphones.
You just imagine just the headphones there. Can you hear me across the middle?
We've got to do that.
Yeah.
We've got
as Julie says, that's us. We're out of time again tonight. So massive thank you to everybody who's joined us. A lot of the usual faces and some new ones in the chat tonight. So that was really good. Thank you very much. Next week, I don't think we're going to be on next week.
I'm not around because I'm up in Scotland.
I think we might have a week off next week. We'll let you guys know probably on Instagram if we're going to do that or not. And then we'll post up where we are the following week. So hope everybody has a great weekend and thanks so much for joining us.
And if we're not here next week, happy Easter.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Happy Easter indeed.
No. Right. Thanks very much, everybody.
What's he laughing at now?
It's just your comment.
I was comment about eggs.
Good night.
Good night.
We're still live.